So America's first president is in the Florida Capitol building even as we speak. Indeed, a statue of George Washington is going to be on display in the rotunda for the next year in celebration of the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence.
But what relationship did the real George Washington have with Florida? Our Fox 13 Evan Axelbank explains.
A busy day at the Florida Capitol. Only one figure isn't moving.
Now, there were some who wanted to make Washington America's king, and he said no. Yeah.
228 years after George Washington stood firm and left office after 2 terms, Florida's governor unveiled a bronze statue of our first president on loan from Mount Vernon. Since he only traveled as far south as Georgia, you could say this is George Washington's first time in Florida.
I love it. I can't believe we've taken so long to do it. I mean, he's still the greatest president as far as I'm concerned.
Historian Roger Smith has studied the connection between George Washington and Florida, which in the 1760s was split into West and East Florida. During the Revolution, it was controlled by the British. He has found 81 letters George Washington wrote about Florida.
It's hard to say he was obsessed with us, but you don't write 81 letters about somebody and for military purposes and not have an interest.
Washington was worried the British would launch an invasion of the Southern American colonies from St. Augustine.
I think the British knew exactly what they had, and I think they would have fought for it no matter what.
Smith has found 5 instances of Washington asking Congress to authorize preemptive invasions of St. Augustine. 3 times, revolutionaries pierced the border, but were pushed back. It's unlikely Washington knew how shallow the water around St. Augustine is.
And there were things that he did that told me he didn't understand the topography at all, because he kept trying to get us to invade.
Dr. Lindsay Chervinsky, the head of the George Washington Presidential Library, notes that when the war ended, control was transferred to the Spanish. The area was still critical to the American economy, though, with the port of New Orleans being in West Florida. It was also close to numerous islands that had their own trading ports and was a place American slaves would escape to before Florida itself became a slave state.
He was very aware of any threats from Native nations, threats from communities of enslaved individuals, and of course threats from the Spanish from the territory of Florida.
But it's the political ideals that Washington set for the new nation: a peaceful transfer of power, international engagement, and civilian control of the military that Chervinsky says Washington should be remembered for.
All of those are virtues that I think we can choose to commemorate and celebrate today, and I'm glad that Americans are doing so.
Today, his statue is overlooking the preamble to Florida's Constitution that insists on equal civil and political rights to all. A place he had never been is feeling his impact 2.5 centuries later. Evan Axelbank, Fox 13 News.
Well, the statue is actually a replica of one dedicated by a French sculptor in 1796. It'll be on display at the Florida Capitol until February of next year, so plenty of time to go check it out.